Hello everybody, and welcome to Wine Tasting Tuesday. This is our just back from BronyCon and done with vacation edition, the first one we've done in 3 weeks. So, while we would love to spend the extra money to try something special, we've don't really have that liberty, so we'll be tasting again in the under $20 price range, looking for affordable yet good wines to try, and for something different, because I have been doing lots of red wines, so we're going to be doing white wine this time. Today we've got a wine from Chateau de la Roulerie. It is I'd say, it's a pretty well established, or at least, well, I'm very familiar with their products. They're out of the Loire Valley in France. And this one is from the Anjou appellation, and it is called Les Petites Chenins. So it is a Chenin Blanc, or primarily a Chenin Blanc. There might be other stuff blended into it. I couldn't access the website, or I could find it, but I couldn't read French, so I can't look up the exact things, and I didn't feel like going through the trouble of Google Translate, because we all know how good that is. Vintage is 2013, and as you see, I have not opened the bottle yet. It's a screw cap, but rest assured that'll be perfectly fine, and it's a white wine too, relatively new vintage. So it's again, I'll say 12% alcohol by volume. So let's open it up. Cap is off, and here we go. My glass, trusty wine tasting ladle is out. Just get a good, nice pour. There we go. It's a bit heavy. Usually I maybe only pour half as much for the first try, but I'm ready and willing to go now, having not had any wine in several days, or rather I have not been drinking much wine at all for the past 2 weeks since I've been off. Take a moment to think about that. I don't drink, as you've seen, I don't drink lots of white wines, and I don't drink a lot of wine from the Loire, so that goes to follow I don't drink a lot of Chenin Blanc. So I don't have the best databanks to build off on. It's there's definitely like an apple blossom to it, as well as melon, maybe honeysuckle, I'd say. It gives it a very fragrant, slightly sweet aroma to it. It's floral as well, a tad. Very interesting too, taking a look at that and seeing all the little tiny bubbles on the side. But there's definitely a bit of a honeyness to it as well. So let's get a taste. I'd say the body is actually pretty full. The acidity is more on the light side. It does linger. Well, it does leave a bit of a crispness to the palate. It goes pretty well with the those fruit aromas I was describing earlier, especially the apple. Definitely a bit of that slightly honeyed, like a clover honey aftertaste as well. I'll go right back in for another taste in just a moment. I'm going to try out cleansing my palate with some cheese. And, see if that changes anything. By the way, I'm having with it an English style aged cheddar, so it's very rich with a bit of that crystalline protein in it. And actually, cheeses like this can go well with a lot of different types of white wines, because the white wines tend to be a lot sharper and higher in acidity than the reds. So while you typically hear a lot about red wine pairings and cheese pairings, it's actually, there's a lot more cheeses that you can pair theoretically just as well with white wines. Let's get it. I'll talk a bit about the color. It's definite. It's a bit of a golden, but not like bright gold. More of a golden honeyed color to it, which goes just right in line with what I was saying earlier with the honeyed taste and the honeyed aroma to it. Very slight, with the that melaniness. Like sniffing get a bit of that, maybe a bit of that tad of that pollen, like a pollen. You stuff your nose inside a big flower in springtime. Well, it's a bit too fat to cut through the creaminess of that cheese I just had. So the acidity and, well, the effect on the mouth isn't quite as distinct as it was earlier because of that. So I mean, I guess the downside is, as I said, it's a nice full body, but it's not quite as defined, I suppose, as it should be. The same goes with the aroma. You get a lot of different things, but it's not the most complex. But I would honestly say that it's pretty good for what it is. Yes, it is good. I'd recommend to drink it. You're not getting a top of the line wine here, but the Loire region is relatively not as exploited as a lot of many other regions in France, or a lot of many other regions in Europe, or well, especially for France, it's not as exploited. So you can get some pretty good value there for the dollar. Now, I personally don't happen to be the biggest fan of that area, because I don't really like a lot of their reds. I'm not a fan of Cabernet Franc, or at least how they do Cabernet Franc, and I don't really pick Pinot. Excuse me, Chenin Blanc is my first choice when I go for white wines. My first or second or even third choice when I go for white wines. But I'd say that this is a pretty good. It's a very good wine for the value, and a good representation of what Loire wines can do. And anything by Chateau de la Roulerie is recommended. They do a lot of different stuff. I know that up here in the store that I work up in the Indianapolis area, all of our stores carry a bunch of their different types of wine, like 5 or 6 at least. So anything by these people, I mean, like basic ones, they're $10 all the way up to $25 premium Chenin Blanc that they age for several years in oak casks. Maybe I'll taste that one day, but probably not likely soon. Anyway, this wine, I got it for $12.99. So for the price, it represents a very high quality per value ratio. And so this wine will get my thumbs up. My thumbs up. Good wine. Good wine. Good wine. And as I said before, I promised that I would end the Wine Tasting Tuesday videos before I start rambling on a tangent about non-topic related things. So we have plenty of other methods of talking about that. So maybe we'll be having another video tonight, or maybe not, but there should be others coming up soon this week anyways. So until next week, drink up in vino veritas.